Okay, guys, this is cereal dilution number 2. This time we're also starting with a 1 molar solution in theory. We did I put 10 milliliters of water and 1 drop of blue food coloring in test tube 1. But instead, the thing is that was different this time is that we have 10 milliliters and 1 drop of food coloring in the first one, and I only have 5 milliliters of water in each of the ones thereafter. So what we're going to do is take 5 milliliters of water from each one and transfer 5 milliliters of water. So we are transferring half of the actual solution that's in each test tube. So let's take that here for a minute, and what we'll do is from test tube 1, I will take 5 milliliters instead. Again, this bulb pipette, it's a little tricky sometimes. The other pipettes are way better, but we'll go with it. So I'm putting 5 milliliters from the first one into the second test tube. And then the extra stuff, what I'll do, again, it's graduated, so I'll take it down to 10 milliliters and I'll put the extra back into the first one. Okay, so notice we have quite a blue solution still. That blue doesn't like to get clear to the bottom sometimes because actually food coloring is a little less dense than water. And so it takes a little bit. So it's kind of like the idea that if you've ever given blood or anything and they check your iron, your blood kind of like floats in a solution. And what that drop of blood does is it tells you the iron as to how far your solution or how far your blood will sink in solution. So now what we're going to do is take 5 milliliters of solution from this test tube. I'm going to be patient. That's the thing with the bulbs is you have to be really patient. And let's see, it's gone to about 7. So let's do this in 2. Let's actually just try this again. So if I had another kind of pipette, it works so much better. But we can make almost anything work. All right, so this will go a little faster here. I squeeze the pipette a little bit harder. And so then we take and put 5 milliliters into the next one. And notice the blue is getting considerably lighter, but it's still not nearly as light as what we had the first one when we had the dilution factor of 1/10. Okay. So we give it a little stir, a little swirl here. And then again, we're going to take 5 from here in my cereal dilution. Okay, we got some bubbles in there. Let's get the bubbles out. We don't have 5 totally. Okay, we'll let the bubbles kind of release over here. So we're going to put 5 milliliters of solution into the next test tube. Now, again, the test tube heights look a little bit different at the bottom because these test tubes, some of them are slightly have a greater circumference than the others, but it's still, the volume is still the same. So again, swirl a little bit. Notice the color in blue. And we take the last 5 milliliters and we're going to transfer to our last solution. And notice it's quite a lot lighter this time. So again, we're doing a cereal dilution. We'll put the rest back here. Okay, so let's take a look at our dilution factor this time. Since we took half of each one, our dilution factor is 1/2 or 0.5. So what you'll find then is if we started with a 1 molar solution right here, and we take 1 molar times half our dilution factor, then our second test tube here is going to have a molarity of 0.5. Now our dilution factor again, if we take 0.5 times 0.5, then we have a molarity of 0.250. If we take 0.250 times 0.5, then we have a molarity of 0.125. And finally, if we take 0.125 times our dilution factor of 0.5, then finally we end up with a molarity of 0.062. So you might think that, wow, this is still like a pretty strong color. If you recall from our last dilution, we actually, in our last serial dilution, we got it down to 0.0001. So therefore, even though we think 0.0625 is small, we still see the blue color. Obviously, we did not see this blue color after the 0.001 or the 0.001 molar before. So that's another thing you can use dilution factors for in a serial dilution, so you can find concentrations of unknowns. Maybe you can compare colors by finding concentrations of an unknown solution, and then it can get you a better idea as to how concentrated something is. So there we are, serial dilution number 2 with a dilution factor of 0.5 or 1/2. See you guys.